Hello.
Hello, everybody.
How are we all? Wow, look, everybody's here. Yay.
I know.
Hi, guys.
Happy Thursday.
Yes. Happy Thursday.
The train wreck.
On with the train wreck. Yes.
Hey, Tom.
We are excited for this week's show. We're going to be talking about spirit guides and angels. We, as with everything, this is coming from our own personal experience. It's obviously everything we talk about is different for every person. But this is one of a topic that I think I think Erin, you and I have been excited to talk about because we really do love, mine drink. So it's fine. Joseph, it's okay. I get it. Erin has become best friends with my guides because she's the human down here on earth that is like, Carrie, don't go running off in that direction. So she and my guides have become real good friends. Like, this bitch is crazy.
I know her guides better than my own guides. True story.
Well, and you know what? Let's talk about that too. It's a lot of, I talk to my guides daily. I love them. Sometimes I seek them out for advice. Sometimes they're just like, hey, bitch, you're doing it wrong. Other times, it's different. Like I said, it's different for everybody. So certainly, guys, as always, pop your stuff into the comments. I think it started with an A. Yeah. I had a friend of mine, Tara, and she's amazing. I've been friends with her for decades, and she got into Reiki and all Akashic Records readings. And so I've had a couple of sessions with her. She's the one that got me started down this road. And through an Akashic Records reading, we found out that my main guide is the Archangel Sandalphon. And I love him very much. He
does this a lot.
Yeah, he does. He does it a lot. When he first started talking to me, it was in my own voice, which I think is kind of common when you first start being able to hear your guides. I think it's kind of common for you to hear them in your own voice.
Right.
But then he switched to Michael Clark Duncan. You guys remember him from like the Green Mile? And I don't know why. But he's, to this day, he speaks to me in Michael Clark Duncan's voice. So that's how I picture him.
I love it.
Yeah. So,
well, I think that's interesting that yours is so closely, like it's such a close connection.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, I have no idea who mine are, but they haven't led me wrong yet. So we're just going to roll with it. Like, I know I have family members that are constantly kind of around, but I don't have a clue like who my other people are.
Yes. Yeah. So like, right? You can have, like, I think we all have kind of an army of them around us at all times. And then like each of them maybe pops in for a certain maybe situation or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, they did call him a gentle giant. I loved him. I thought, I was such a fan of his. That might be why he decided to use that voice.
Maybe.
But the very first time I heard him speak in that voice, I was taking a bath. So that was a little scary. I was like, what the hell? What is going on?
Boundaries.
Yes, exactly. Like, what in the hell? Yeah. Also, I have a lot of my family members are my guides as well. A lot of ancestors that I've never, like, I didn't know, like, obviously, my grandparents and that kind of thing, but also like generations of ancestors. I even have one person, Tiny Tim, Jesus, wouldn't it though? SpongeBob, that guy.
Oh God. Beaker from the Muppets.
Could you have that Beaker? Oh, Beaker would be kind of cool. But yeah, I think one of my guides is even a member of the galactic family. which is a relatively new thing for me. Like, I'm sure they've always been there, but they've just recently, in the last like year or so,
like showing up.
Yeah.
I've definitely got that galactic.
Yeah, I have a lot of guides that just kind of like, especially when I'm meditating and I call them in, and I call all of them in. It's not like, okay, you and I just like staff meeting with certain employees. It's not like that at all. I call them all in, and it's like, there's a lot of them, but a lot of them don't ever say anything. They're just coming. Yeah, that is exactly. I bet Lucy and San Lafon are good friends.
Probably.
I bet they are. In the beginning, I thought I had to be like very proper with them and not swear. And, I mean, I always still say please and thank you when I'm like asking them to remove attached souls or to remove negativity. Like, I always do that. But yeah, I swear. And they're fine with it. Like, they don't care up there. They don't care.
No, they don't care.
No,
they really don't.
And since a lot of my family are part of my guides, they're used to it, because where do you think I learned how to swear? My uncles are like, keep it going. It's fine.
She said they probably drink together. Probably true. Probably true.
Probably true.
I can see Standal as well, but he looks different to me. Like, I've only seen him a handful of times. He looks like, and I can't remember the name of the character from, I don't remember if it's Marvel or DC, but just like giant.
Is he metal?
Figure metal, kind of shiny. Is kind of how he looks to me, and he's massive, but I can't think of the name of the character.
What the hell? He's in Deadpool, isn't he?
No,
he does a crossover into Deadpool.
No, I'll have to find it. When I find it, I'll put it up. But
that's funny.
He pops in. He doesn't do it anymore so much. It was interesting because he was around a lot with all the farm stuff was going on.
Yeah,
he was really kind of around, and saw him at the house more than once. Had dreams about him at the farm. So I do think it's a thing where, because I know a lot of people, and you can speak to this too. I think not Silver Surfer, but he's not too far off. As far as looks, but I think what's interesting is some people are so like determined that they have to know their spirit guide, that they have to connect and know exactly who they are, and I understand that for some people, because that's really important to them, and being able to establish that sort of connection. And I think I kind of come from the other end of it, which I love that we're having this discussion, because our relationships are different, but for me it's still the trust. I know they're there. Like, I know there's galactics, because that's usually what I'm channeling anyway. I know there's people, I know there's guides, and call in archangels quite a bit. But to me, sorry, y'all, I'm sick again because Maine.
Because Maine.
Is Maine. But I think it's interesting to see how people's relationships with their guides evolve. Like, I also talk to mine all the time, but it's more like, hey team, like, we're need to talk about this, or we need extra help with that. Like, it's never, I don't ever call anybody out by name because I don't know who they are, but I'm okay with that, because I know they know that I trust the guidance that they are giving me. Like, and a lot of times my guidance, I don't get it like you get it. Like, you hear him. I feel it more. Like, if I'm trying to make a big decision, sorry, this is going to be a whole thing. And I've decided, I've made a decision one way or the other, yes or no. My whole body will buzz if it's good. So I get most of my messages from them through like feelings in my body, more so than
vibrationally.
Right. And which makes sense because the clairsentience thing. But I do find it interesting that no matter how much or how little you know about your guides, it's so easy to establish a connection because there's that instant kind of trust factor there, which I think is really important.
Right. There's a familiarity. Like, I know you.
Right.
My soul recognizes your soul, or recognizes you, or there's that, like when you run into an old friend you haven't seen in decades, it's kind of that comfort.
It's a familiar energy and guidance you can always trust. Not that you always listen, but that because obviously you still have free will, you get to kind of decide which way you go. But I think there's like this instant kind of, once you start picking up that something else is working up working for you and helping along. I've just, like, I think we both just jump on the train and roll with it.
Yeah. Sorry, I just heard a dog lean up against my door and I was like, what is somebody coming in? What's going on?
This guy he's out on the couch.
Is he?
Make an appearance. He kind of blends in because he's so dark, but he's there.
He does look like all the pillows.
He is. Pillows and blankets and God knows what else is over there. But
Mary Beth, I am the same way. I'm the same way, and I think that comes from that hyper independence. Just comes from things that you have lived through and things that you've gone through, and you might have been like the one that had to make the decisions and had to, which was kind of me. Like, my mom was a single mother. It was just the two of us. My grandmother lived with us for a while until I got older, and then she moved back to our hometown of Payson, and it was just me and my mom. But my mom worked all day, so I was one of those latchkey kids. Like, Jennifer and I used to walk home and be by ourselves until like 5-6 o'clock at night. Sometimes if my mom worked late, like she worked at a hotel and they would have managers on duty, and she was the director of housekeeping, so she'd have to work until 11 o'clock at night until the night auditor got there. So I would sometimes be home by myself until like 11 o'clock at night. So it was just one of those things where I just do things on my own because that's kind of how I grew up. Not to say that my mom ever, like, wasn't ever around. It's just, it's kind of how kids were. So, and then once I had my son, like, my son has autism and he was diagnosed when he was 4. So, my mom didn't know how to raise a child with autism. We both kind of learned together, and there were decisions that I just had to make. So I'm very, very used and very, very independent. I'm to a annoying fault. Even my son is like, Mom, you need to ask for help. When you need help, you need to ask for it. I'm like, no.
I am the same
I will figure it out myself.
I'm the same. I mean, like, the Heinzens are, like, oh, you need this, you need that. I'm like, no. They're like, God damn it, she's stubborn. For me, it's, kind of an opposite end. My mom was home, Dad worked, but I think for my first marriage, what I went through with that, which will always be, I think, one of the hardest things I've ever had to recover from, took me, we're still going. So we'll say 21 years.
Yeah.
But I chose to not use any of the help I had available to me in my life. My parents, other family, I dealt with it by myself. And I think a lot of that, there was a lot of shame built into that too. But even now, like, I can ask my spirit guides for help on certain things, but I can't ask a human.
Isn't that funny? I'm kind of the same way.
It's so stupid. And I don't know how to get past that. But if it's like a spiritual thing, I'm like, yo, we got to talk. You know what I mean? Like, that is right. Yeah, that's no problem. But if I'm struggling with something, like in regular 3D land, nope.
Sure. Yeah.
If I can't figure it out, it ain't happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those. Yes, Tom Godric was amazing, and I loved True Blood. It was the best show. In fact, I probably should start watching it again. Right now, I'm rewatching Charmed, which is another great show. I love Charmed. I've been rewatching Charmed while I make product for the vendor show this weekend. But I have a monk named Father Jeffrey. Uh-oh.
It's about to go down.
That's really cool, though. See, those are the kinds of connections that I would like to see all of us make with our guides.
Yeah.
They're there, again, to guide us into the journeys that we have chosen to go through, the lessons that we've chosen to learn in this incarnation.
Yep.
Again, if you believe in reincarnation, which I very much do. Right. But they're also like, they can be friends too. Like, when I go on a long drive, and I was telling Erin this, a couple of years ago, if I'm going on a long drive, I will tell Sandovan, who is the archangel of music, which I didn't find that out until I got back here. I didn't find that out.
Yeah.
Music has always been a core part of my existence. Like since I was little, my mom and I used to drive to go see my grandma. We would listen to music. When I was a little toddler, I remember like singing Willie Nelson with her. Music has always been a core part of who I am and the foundation of who I am.
Yeah.
And so if I have a long drive, I'll be like, all right, Sam LaFon, you're playing DJ, and I'll hit shuffle. I'm like, you pick the music. Every time that dude picks music that it pertains to something going on in my life.
Yeah.
Or if I'm going to see Jennifer, it's a lot of music that is memorable and important to Jennifer and I. So it's so fun.
Yeah.
To do that.
It's like the spirit guide shuffle. I mean,
it is, yeah.
Well, I think too, music, I think it's interesting to have that discussion because I think for so many people,
yeah,
music and the way and like smells are the fastest way to transport back to like a specific memory or a specific event. Yes. And I think for those of us, because I think for me, and I didn't know this either, I thought everybody felt music. And I mean like in the body where like energy is moving. Like I didn't realize that not everybody gets goosebumps when music plays. I didn't realize that, there's a lot of ways people feel music. That's not everybody feels. I thought everybody felt that way. Imagine my disappointment. I'm like, oh, I'm so sad for you. You don't feel it that way.
I know, right? Yeah.
I get that same
God, I wish you would. Yeah.
I really wish you would. But I think I get a lot of that music. Same kind of thing. Like you're going through some shit and the perfect song always comes on, or you're thinking about somebody and the perfect song comes on. I mean,
always.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else hear a song you get some serious? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be anything from like I said, growing up and music was always playing in my house. So it could be like a song from my childhood or a new song today. And it's like, it's like you get goosebumps from it. And it's just the songs that make me want to dance or do that or just really raise my vibration through the roof. I actually have on my iTunes, I have a high vibes playlist.
I love that.
And I play it whenever I'm like a little bummed out. It always brings my energy and my vibration back up. Always. And it literally just anything. The song that I absolutely love to clean to is Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. Yeah. That comes on and I'm like, yeah, just let's win it with the cleaning. There's just some music. I don't know what it is, but again, it's all vibration and frequency. Music is, so it makes perfect sense why there are some songs that will just kind of elevate you, or even other songs that will bring you way down, even no matter what the lyrics are.
Oh yeah, everybody's got like a crying song. If anybody says otherwise, they're lying. Like
they're lying,
right? Yes. Like everybody has that one song you hear like the first 2 beats and you're done. Like that's it, and you put it on when you need to. Like I'm a terrible crier, I hate crying. But there's a couple songs that I'm okay. We have to get this out, and you hear 1 or 2. Game over. And it's like, okay, that was good, Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those for me are songs that remind me of people that are no longer with me, like my grandmother, or now my best friend's mom, music that she loved, things like that. Yeah.
But there's always the Titanic theme, right? Like every time I hear it, I'm like, I just can't. My friend Cher was probably still is, huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio. So when Titanic came out, we went and saw that damn thing 9 times in the weekend it opened. I was like, so you do get a little song weary, but that movie, the story, the real story, like there's something about anything related to Titanic that I'm like,
I know.
Just super bummed about. I probably added like a past life on it or something. I'll have to check my Akashic records.
Oh, that's when they go back down to the ship after she's died. Every time.
Every time.
And then one of my dad's favorite movies is Field of Dreams. I can't even tell you how many times we watched that movie. Oh, yeah. But that song that they play when they're going into the cornfield when he has the catch with his dad, I hear 2 beats of that and I'm done. Dad's the same way. I will just,
there's a lot of core memories and a lot of that are made through music. There's a lot of like, I was talking to Zach like a couple of I think we were talking a couple of weeks ago or something about music.
Yeah.
And he was saying, he was saying something about Smashing Pumpkins, and he was like, oh, I've been listening to them since I was like 8 years old. And I was like, shut up. I was in high school when Smashing Pumpkins came out. Like, right? Fuck you. So I was like, what we were listening to? We were listening to Madonna and Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and Wham. And there's so many of these like core music that either kind of defined your childhood, your growing up, but it also sort of, resonated with you with like a relationship or a breakup or whatever. Music is so, it's just really, it's so amazing. It just adds a lot of color to my life, to a lot of my friends' lives. I see souls. Like I said, I see souls. It's bright light comes out of the top of their head. And when people are listening to music, they just get brighter and they like pulse with the beat of the music they're listening to. Their souls light. It's fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to me that my main guide is an angel that is an angel of music.
Right.
I love it. It's amazing.
Well, and think about it too. I mean,
hey Rose,
if we're talking about music being frequency, and I think music's important to pretty much all of us. For me, because I am not good. I'm good at being happy, and I'm good at like talking about past trauma because there's like that disconnect between me and it now. But like if I'm going through it, music says all the things I can't. That's how I describe. Like that's what music does. Like if I need to say something to somebody and I can't find the words, there's usually a song I can play.
1,000,000%.
So for a person who's not really good at expressing, let's just call it being vulnerable emotionally, music will fill that hole for me a lot. And because it's like, it's the vibration with how it's sung or played or whatever, like it encompasses all of that.
The energy that was put into making it, all of that. And that's not a coincidence.
No.
That's not a coincidence. If you find a song that resonates with you for whatever reason, that's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences at all whatsoever. And nobody will ever get me to believe in them. But a lot of times it's your guides that are sending that kind of message to you.
I was just about to say frequency. Those guides and beings are also, we're all frequency and energy.
Right.
So like, what's the easiest way for them to get us to pay attention or whatever the message is, then frequency.
Maybe focus on something we're avoiding, maybe, but with your guides, if you want to get to know who your guides are or what their names are, ask them. Just ask them. You can do that. In the beginning, I didn't know how. I didn't even know who my guides were. Like I had grown up with guardian angels. And so I knew that like my grandma and my great grandma and, family.
Right.
But I didn't know there was a whole host of other people.
Do you want to dive into angels a little bit, being that you're kind of on that path? Because that ties in with, same way I went to Catholic school. So, guardian angels, same exact thing. Your a lot of our relationship with that kind of knowledge for me was religion based. And I had no idea there was all this other stuff. So then we always heard about archangels in Catholic school, but not like this, not the way the spiritual community kind of sees them. Very similar traits, but they're so much more multifaceted than what we learned in school, if that makes sense.
They are. Yeah, they are. And I never, growing up, we didn't really go to church a lot. My grandmother did. Most of my family and I, we were Southern Baptists. So my grandmother would go to church, and whenever we would go visit her, especially on holidays, Easter and stuff, I went to church. But as I got older, it wasn't a thing. It's a Dr. Pepper. I've been drinking Dr. Pepper religiously since I was 14. I'd have it every day for lunch in high school. I would get a Dr. Pepper and a bag of Gardettos.
Bag of what?
Gardettos?
The hell is that?
You don't know what the Gardettos are? Do you guys know what Gardettos are?
I mean, it's fun to say, but that's all I got.
Oh my God. Yeah. Since, geez. Yeah. And since freshman in high school. Let me see.
Huh.
Coy loves them. They're like little breadsticks and pretzels and these little rye chips that I hate. I give Chewy the rye chips.
Waste.
Let me see if I can find them.
I've literally never heard of that.
They're good. They're so good. There's General Mills.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're like split down the middle. But here we go. The pumpernickel crisps are the bomb, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea what any of that is.
Yeah, they're so good. You should try them. They're very flavorful. They've got now spicy Italian and like pizza flavor, which Coy likes. I just like the original. But so I never really went to church once I got older, and hanging out with my friends was more important than going and spending 2 weeks with my grandmother. I never really went to church after that. I have a solid knowledge and of God and the Bible and the stories, and I have a solid knowledge of that because I went to church as a child.
Right.
But Coy's never been to church. Coy's never. We don't do any of that. Coy's actually not entirely sure he believes in God, which is an interesting. It makes up my dynamic with my son very interesting. But I think we all heard about what angels are just sort of from growing up. Maybe we didn't go to church, but maybe we heard about it from a family member. Maybe we know about like the main archangels. I didn't even realize Sandalphon was an archangel.
Yeah.
I didn't, I knew, of course, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel. Like I knew Raphael. Yeah. We, the upfront archangels that we always hear about, but hi, Mom. But I didn't know that, Sandalphon was one. I didn't know that he was the brother of Metatron, the scribe of God. I didn't know until I was like, who is this? I've never heard of this angel.
Right.
And you can go in and do your own research on them. If you've, met one or one of them is your guide, they've introduced you or introduced themselves to you, which is what I did. I went and kind of like went online and learned about him. But then I also meditated and just asked questions. Your guides, if you want to sit down and just have a little chat with your guides, just to be like, hey, tell me about yourself. Where do you hail from? Kind of a situation,
Right. Meeting you here. Well, and I think to your point too, there are lots of meditation options that will help you dive into that too, if you want to, whether on YouTube or
oh yeah,
there are a lot of different short little meditations that you can do to kind of connect with your guides. Which I find, which is nice because it's easily accessible. It's not like you're having to dig through this like huge amount of information to find something that works for you. Again, like this is stuff that you can do easily on your own at home, should you choose to.
Yeah.
Or you can pick one even, right? Can't you kind of, not pick one's not the right word, but like some people decide to assign kind of a lot of their intentional work to certain goddesses, like whether it's a Agate or the Morgan or whoever.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you do the same thing with angels?
No, I've never tried to do that.
I don't know. Does anybody in the chat know that? I'd be interested to know that.
Can
they be animals?
Can angels be animals? Is that what you're asking?
Or guides?
I
don't know.
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That is such a good question because we don't deserve animals. They're so good.
100% agree. They're the best.
Don't deserve animals. They are just are angels.
Literally
These
are.
animals are just amazing.
She said spirit guide. Yeah, I don't
You
see why.
know, I
Why
don't
not?
know. That's such a good question.
But again, there's no rules, right? Like, I mean, who's to say
Sure.
there's not? Just because we haven't had an experience with it doesn't mean it's like I've never come across like Mothman, but doesn't mean he's not a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that
True.
I don't think that anybody could say a definitive no on that.
I
I don't
don't
know.
I don't think any because I think anything's possible.
Rose says yes.
Hey, okay. I like that idea. I
I
really
mean,
do.
yeah.
I really like that. I think also like for example, you know what, and I'm sure Tom is like, why are you so obsessed with me and my damn dog? But
He's
I
so
feel
cute.
like I feel like his new dog Nico was sent to him
Mm.
and as like an angel that so or a guide maybe I could see that 1,000%.
I fully believe that your last dog's
Yeah.
your next dog.
Yeah. Um
It's really interesting. You can
ooh.
even have ET as a spirit guide. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got a few of those.
I do have one. A lot of my guides are they just kind of like I said, they're kind of in the background, they're just kind of observing. My
Mhm,
father is one of those. My mom and my dad broke up while she was pregnant with me,
mhm,
and I never knew him.
right.
I did grow up with people that knew him, so he knew of me. Like I had a picture of him, but I never met him. And then he died when I was 11.
Okay.
So then once I started like really getting into meditating and things like that, he is one of my guides, and he is very much like Sandoval, where he just kind of stands there and like with like a
Right.
kind of like a scowl on his face. And I at first at the beginning, I was like, why is he scowling? Like, why are you here if you're mad about it or whatever? But that's just his face.
True.
That's just his face. Um, yeah, see, she's talking about getting a restraining order. I am obsessed with, and it's not just the dog, it's him and the dog.
Right.
It's that connection because
Together.
I remember being able to feel how brokenhearted he was
Nigel died.
when he lost Nigel.
Mhm.
And then like it wasn't that much longer that he found Nico, and I was like, she was sent to heal him. Oh my God. So you know what? I think we just decided that animals can be spirit guides and angels too.
And maybe there's spirit guides on the living side. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
feel that way about Bernie. I mean,
Oh, for
when
sure.
Monk
Yeah.
I lost Monk for
Same
whatever
thing with Monk. Yep.
I was absolutely gutted. And I was like, I'm not going to get a dog for a year because I was driving to Rhode Island. I was going to be driving to Rhode Island. I was, doing all this
Yeah.
other stuff, and different events. And I was like, I'm going to wait a year. Hell no, I'm not. I
Well,
waited a
and you know
month
what? I think in those
and Bernie showed up.
situations, yeah, they're placed in your path
Yeah.
because I feel like that was kind of what happened with Nico, was just sort of like one of those opportunities. There's a lot of stories of people that I know that's happened with.
Yeah.
You know, they've
100%.
lost an animal, they're grieving so much, and they're like, I need time. I may never get another one. And then Jennifer's we called him her stepdad. It was her mother's husband, but like Jennifer was in her 30s when Janice got married. So it wasn't really his stepdad, but
Right.
he his dog Ellie died, and then like a month later he had gone down to just look at other dogs at the shelter.
Yeah.
And he came across his dog, this other cute little dachshund that he was like, it was just a thing he knew. He's like, I have to have this dog. So I think that those kinds of things are put in your path
Yeah.
because you're meant to find each other and be together. I think that's amazing and wonderful. And probably because when I had my dog Maggie when I was a little kid, we got her when I was 10. It
Hmm.
was my mom's friend's dog, and he was moving back to England and he couldn't
Right.
take her. So we took her. I loved her so much. And she I had to have her put to sleep when I was 17, and it was the most traumatic thing in the freaking world for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So traumatic. I loved her so much that I didn't get another dog. I wanted nothing to do with pets or anything.
Yeah.
For over almost 20 years. Almost 20 years until my friend who's a foster posted a picture of Chewy, of my dog Chewy. And I was like, oh, his name's Chewbacca. He's so cute. I think I need to meet this dog. But that was the first time.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I love stories like You and Bean and Tom and Nico. And because I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I allowed that pain to kind of wall me off to giving a home to another animal that needed love just like my dog did. So I think I'm just so in love with stories like I said, You and Bean, Tom and Nico, because I didn't know how to do that then. So I think I just will always champion that.
Always. Well, and I think too, when you're like, I find myself single now, and you know, I know Tom is single as well. I think what I've learned, and I learned this before I got divorced, but I think there's very much a difference in being alone.
Yeah.
Being lonely. Like, I'm not lonely at all. I spend a lot of time by myself, but I got this little psychopath back here that keeps me on my toes. And that poor dog, like, you know, rescued this dog, and then I'm driving to Rhode Island and I'm taking him to this haunted house that he absolutely hates. And he's like, Mom, seriously, this is not what I signed up for. But he's, you know, moving from Florida to freaking Maine. Like, this poor dog.
Right.
Kind of got shit into the stick. But I think animals are so much a representation of where we are in our lives as well. Like, if I'm going with the flow and just rolling with it, he is too. Like, he, you know, he's portable and compact. He's only about 40 pounds. So he's a great little travel buddy.
Yeah.
But there's that trust aspect too that he has. We've built, and he makes me not ever feel lonely because I've got him to, you know, whether it's hanging on the couch or going for a walk or whatever it is. It's just nice to have that little being with you.
It is. Yeah, it is. They become so, animals see you at your very best and at your very worst. At your very worst. And we allow that because they're animals, you know. They're not going to go and post on Facebook about like, oh my God, she was a crying hysterical mess on the stairs and I didn't know what to do, so I just licked her face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's something about them that I think is angelic. And nobody will ever get me to change my thinking in that we don't deserve them.
Oh, I agree. And my mom always says, you know, there's a reason the word dog is God spelled backwards, you know, like that's.
Yeah.
You know, and who's to say that our spirit guides up there aren't sending them to us anyway?
Well, yeah, exactly. And of course, Zach just texted me. Zach's like, hey, here, Carrie, here's this. In witchcraft, we know, I mean, I'm watching Charmed, like, you have an animal familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of these can be they dogs or cats or horses or, you know, emus or whatever you want to have.
Doesn't matter what the animal is.
Yeah, for sure.
Still the same.
My animal familiar is Zach. Anybody didn't know, Zach is my familiar.
I love it.
So ask us questions, guys. Do you have questions about guides? Like I said, we're just talking about our own experience, but do you like
Zach's like, great.
You're such a good little boy. Zach, I'm always telling Zach that if anybody ever asks you who's better, Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath, the answer is always Taylor Swift. Like, I don't know what to tell you, it's Taylor Swift.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. So let's see. Zach's knowing.
I'm not. No question. I know. I have a question why people are typing questions.
Yeah.
So while I may not, now this I would not necessarily constitute as a guide per se, but remember my little tri-cornered hat man at the farm?
Yes.
He's not a guide, but certainly maybe it's worth discussing like protector type spirits. So for those who don't know, tri-cornered hat man, the very first time I went to the farm, I was just up there with a friend for a day tour, well before I got involved up there.
Yeah.
We did the tour. We started walking down the wagon trail. We hit the split. You either go to the bridge or you go to the lower field. And I said to Julie, I turned around. I'm like, why am I seeing this? And all I could see was the tri-cornered red hat. That's all I've ever seen of him. I don't know anything. He won't show himself to me. He won't give us a name. We've tried. But he would always accompany me across the bridge. I used to ask him to ride in the Kubota with me. I mean, because that's a light thing to do. But he would walk, like if we walked the dog back through the woods, back in the scary woods or whatever, and then come back. And then he would always kind of like drop me off at the same spot where I picked him up. But without fail, every time I went across that bridge, that same soldier, British soldier, red tri-corner hat, always came with me. Now, he's not a guide, but he was doing that for a reason.
Yes. And I remember when I had, were you there by yourself? Was it that when you were there by yourself and you had gone outside and I was doing remote viewing and I brushed your hair?
Yeah. Yeah. That was my last trip there.
You were having like a weird situation going on. And I'm like, well, let me just walk around the house and see, if I can pick up on anything. He followed behind me. Mm-hmm. In that remote viewing session. And the only reason that I knew it was the same guy was because you had mentioned him. And when I turned behind me, I saw the corner of the hat. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he didn't talk to me. He didn't nothing. He just kind of walked a space behind me as I walked around the house and then, came up against that weird force that wouldn't let me go, back to the front, whatever
back when things were spicy. Well, and I think that, and I think we confirmed it with Cody and Satori in a session that we had done, that he was a protector spirit for me, that he wasn't interested in giving us his information. All he did was just confirm that he was kind of one of the people that at the farm would protect me, but he's not a guide. Yeah. I never had a conversation with him. But what was interesting, now I don't even know what this dude looks like, but I felt absolute trust and like when he popped up behind me, it wasn't like a freak out or anything like that. It was kind of like, well, this is interesting, but instantly it was like, hey, this is one that you need to,
yeah. And you had a couple of interactions like that there, where you were like, you're new, like I didn't but you didn't feel afraid. Mm-hmm. You were just curious, and I love that about you. Fortunately, you haven't ever come across anything that was really terrifying. Because you probably wouldn't be like, you're interesting.
We tried my last night, but it wasn't something I actually saw. But that last night was very intentional and very, very much meant to terrify me the last 2 nights, and it worked. But yes, as far as like any interactions with any kind of entity, I've never had that. But you do wonder, like, is that a product of your connection with the things around you, the guides with you, who's kind of keeping an eye on you?
Well, and I think I love that idea, because they may not, like you said, they may not be our guides, but maybe they were just kind of either, again, souls recognize souls, right? That's always going to be the case, no matter what, like if it's us living this current life, if it's us, like my soul and your soul recognize each other right away. Mm-hmm. Because we got on like a house on fire the minute we met. But it's the same thing with spirits that we come across.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of recognizes. So at some point, did anybody else have him kind of protecting them? No, just you?
I just made this weird connection because I never thought about it. The first Halloween I was there, I was out back. Zaphis and I had been standing out on the kitchen end of the house, and there's no lights over there. It's just dark. He had gone back inside, and I think I was like finishing a cigarette or something. And I watched an apparition of a soldier walk not far from where they,
Sure.
big tents in the back. And now I'm wondering if that was maybe the first. I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but I wonder because it was all white. It was like a white outline. I could tell it was a soldier, and
Was he part of the 7?
no idea.
Huh. That's interesting.
No clue.
Joseph asked, "Can we have a spirit guide and never know it?" Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now that's not. I don't think that they're like, I don't want you to know who I am. But like with Erin, she doesn't know who all of her guides are, or most of them, and that's okay. They're still, I mean, you can sit down and be like, "Hey, what's your name?" Like I said, you could do that. I don't think I've never heard of a spirit guide being like, "I'm a secret." Because I feel like if a spirit guide doesn't want you to know who they are, that maybe it's not a spirit guide. Like maybe that's not for you.
It's hard to establish a connection if that's kind of the response. But I also think, I mean, would you agree with this? That making that connection, the onus is on us to do that. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of people who have had their guides just come to them, but I don't know that that's kind of the standard. I think that's more us, because again, and you know more about this stuff than I do. I cannot stop coughing. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Working with the Akashics as much as you have.
Yeah.
All of those souls or guides or whatever, we're all sitting around a table before we came back out of the chute again for this iteration and decided what role all those souls and energies are going to play in this particular, trip around the sun.
Right. In this particular lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah. But so like, we know before we come back, we know what role they're going to play. So it's like, we agreed to that. We signed up for that.
Yeah.
It's just, do we get to figure it out in our process of sort of waking back up to this stuff?
Yeah.
And I think that's up to the individual of how much work you want to do to dive into that.
Yes.
But I don't think there's a right or wrong way.
I don't think so either. And plus the other part of that too is that as souls, like the goal is to learn the lessons, right? It's to learn how to be, depending on, what your beliefs are, more like Christ, more like whatever your beliefs are.
Yep.
So our souls are constantly learning, and we're growing and we're elevating. So the guides that we have now in this life, well, those guides are also learning. They might elevate to a different level and be assigned to other people. When we're discussing reincarnation on our way back down. So there is going to be a constant shift. I feel like certain souls will probably have the same guides, especially the souls that no longer reincarnate, the masters. I feel like those people are probably with us through every iteration of the lives we go through. Right. Certainly the angels are, angels.
Be present, to draw on a good Catholic word.
Exactly. Like,
remember that one.
San Lafon's not going to be something different the next time I go up there. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, yes, Mary Beth, you did. She signed up to be your mother. You chose her as your mother. These are the choices that you made because there's lessons in living those lives with these people.
Right.
My best friend Jennifer, I talk about her all the time. I told her the other day, I'm like, you're pretty famous because I talk about you like on every show I'm ever on. But we've been friends since we met when we were 8-year-old little girls, and we're 40 years in. But going through my Akashic records and having readings done for me by other folks, in one life, she used to be my father. So we do go through, especially when we have a soul sister, or we have a soul contract, or we have, one of those things. But yes, you signed up for your mom. And she signed up for you, and whatever that relationship was like was the way it was meant to go, because both of you have lessons to learn.
Yeah.
That's I think one of the most beautiful things about coming back down here and living this human experience.
Agreed.
Um,
When you talk about like family like that, I had a
Mhm.
with Tom. I think it was last year. I don't know. The years have started running together. I think it was last year.
Right, it's all sort of kind of melting pot.
Yeah, and he kept picking up on a guide for me or like but it was he was like, I keep seeing this guy, glasses. He's got it almost looks like overalls, but they're more like a mechanic, like coveralls but I couldn't place it because I didn't know who it was. So I mentioned it to my mom, and within 5 minutes she sent me this picture, and I sent it to Tom, and I'm like, this guy, it was my great grandfather who owned a service station on Shelter Island, New York, where my mom's side of the family was from. Never met the guy. He was dead long before I was in the picture.
Right. Yeah. Before you were a twinkle in anyone's eye.
No clue. But he's apparently one of those that's always kind of involved in that mix and has always kind of been around, which was neat. So that's the closest I think I've ever gotten to knowing who one of the guides is. And Tom kind of referred to him as more of a guide at the time, which I thought was interesting because I didn't even know who he was. No idea. Certainly never seen a picture of him. So Tom wouldn't have been able to.
I love that.
Figure that out. So I do find it interesting how they sort of pop up when you need them. God bless America. I can't.
Bless your heart.
Sorry. Man.
God. Damn you, Maine. This is not the welcome I expected.
I know.
And you did this is what, October?
I know. Crazy weather. Well, I was telling Carrie, we had like a stretch of 50s and almost 60 and then 5 inches of snow. So it's just been like this all over the place. So I think my body's just whatever. So sorry for the coughing, y'all.
Yeah, and Bean is like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm just gonna go to bed.
Or he's like, can I go next door? It's quiet over there.
Will you put up Sandy's comment about Amanda's guide as a lady who was at the nursing home where her grandma was? Mm-hmm. I love that.
Me too.
I love that because that could very well be the case. That could very well be the case. And maybe that was probably chosen long before they met.
Yeah.
But the fact that Amanda hugged her and just kind of had this, this connection to her from like seemingly day one. I bet anything.
Yep. Oh yeah. Adelaide. I don't know how much of that story Mom wants me to get into. Well,
do you want to get into a little bit about what Sandalphon, how you got to know my guide? Because Sandalphon's not Erin's guide.
No.
He's not Erin's guide. And from what my understanding is, and Marie, if you're still with us, let me know if I'm kind of on the right track. If they're assigned a particular charge, they don't tend to like go and assist another angel's charge, right? Is that, am I right with that? Because that was sort of like the vibe I was getting. But when Erin was getting really scared with some of the things that were going on at TCH and the spirits, and that, like you said, that those 2 days where you were like, I hate it here. It's too scary. Not you hate it here, but there was a moment where Erin was in danger. And because Erin and I are so close and I was constantly popping in and remote viewing the farm, he was also looking at it. And there was a moment where Erin was in danger and he went and put a cage, a protection cage around her.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she's not like, he's not her guide, but he did that.
Yeah. I think that was right before, because of course we can't get into much of what was going on in the background at that point, but there was enough concern at that time before I went back up in March of 24, because things had been going south for quite a while. So that was last March was my last trip up there. I think it was a week or two before I went up in March.
No, you were at the farm, so it might have been.
was in December.
Yeah. I don't know if it was before or after the barn caught fire. Maybe after.
It was after the Christmas party. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Because that was mid-December.
Yes.
And that's when things started going south. And I think that's when he, yeah. It was right around December, January.
And I was like, Erin and I were on the phone. I'm like, Sandalphon's coming to you. She's like, what?
Wild.
Yeah. And she actually was able to feel him
in Florida.
Yeah.
That was a wild feeling because I never, like, I call in archangels when I'm doing Reiki sessions, right? But that's not for my benefit. That's for the benefit of the person I'm working
the client,
with.
right?
I'm just like channeling that energy through. But I've never been on the receiving end of that kind of energy. And I remember this clear as day because I was standing outside. I was on the phone with you. And I just felt him grow up behind me. Like literally, he's
a commanding presence for sure.
He is. I have never had that kind of energy rush around. And I've never had it since, but I felt him put that cage down. So
yeah.
And cage is a weird word because
it does sound like it's, yeah.
You know,
I'm sure he would like to put an actual cage around me because I exhaust him. I exhaust all of you though, actually, because yeah, even
Zach in their own show, they said it'll be fun. They said cancel. Yeah, but that was an interesting experience because again, to your point, like I'm not his charge, but I think he was very much aware of the danger that was coming. And I need to clarify, this is not danger because of the house or the spirits at the house. I need to clarify that because I don't want people to like, oh God, this was very much directly coming because of the current owner.
Yeah.
But he had obviously, as he would, the foresight to know how nasty that was going to get, knowing I was going to go up another time and have the shit scared out of me.
Yeah.
But to be able to receive that from something so powerful was really, and I think I told you this, it was an honor to be able to witness that, feel it, and know I was that protected up there. You know?
I was so thrilled that he had gone and done that because I can put protection around people. I've done it for you and I've done it for, all 7 of you. I've done protection. I can send it out anywhere in the world. It can be permanent. It can be a temporary situation. I know how to do that. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
But this apparently was something that needed a little bit more power to it than what I can do. Yeah. And I was like, it felt like a parent going to help my friend is what that felt like.
Yeah. Like, and I need help. I'm at a party and I come get me. I had too much to drink or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Come pick me up. I don't want to stay at this sleepover anymore. Yeah.
That's true. Well, and I think you and I were both in the throes of this.
Yeah. We were.
With the house, and we were all in a pretty significant. I mean, you were putting down protection. Michelle was putting down protection. Zappis.
Yeah.
Like we were having a lot of external, like I basically all my shit shut down, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they know more than we do, and that was my first signal that we were in trouble to some degree with some of the shit that Jacqueline apparently had gotten into. So, to be able to, but that feeling, I can still remember that clear as day. That's when, and you know me well enough to know I can't remember shit. So, but I remember that it was important because I just remember, and it's hot in Florida, but this was a different kind of heat. Like it was,
it's sort of like my face gets hot, almost like a fever is starting, or like I don't know, I just get flushed, kind of. Yeah.
But it's oddly coming from inside. It's very weird.
Yeah. So with Sandalphon doing that and being that, like, I talk to him every single day.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to him. Yes, like a hot flash. But the thing that blew me away that I will never, ever, 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 ever forget or get over was I got in trouble. And Erin was there. Erin knows about this one.
Oh, that's the answer to your
cool.
question.
Yay. See, she knows.
Again, no rules. I love it.
I got in trouble. And I've told this story. I think, Erin, you and I have told this story about we were at OSR and History of a Haunting. Laura and I we had a booth there, and Laura was getting in the next day. So Erin and I had gone on their vendor ghost walk.
Yeah.
And Gary, if you haven't been to OSR, if you have and you've taken a tour, hopefully you've had Gary. He's amazing. I was very impressed with the kind of tour guide he is. But he was telling us about this gray man that
this story
is kind of likes to lurk around the area by the chair room, if you're familiar with Ohio State Reformatory. And he was telling us about this time he was giving a tour, and this gray smoke kind of appeared. Where they were was like a T area, and the group was down here. This gray smoke started to form, and it formed into this gray, old-looking man.
Bent over.
And the group saw it. And it walked by them, and it went into this room across from like where everybody was standing. It went into this room. So as he's telling me this, I was like, ew, I got to find this guy. So he gave us some time to kind of wander around the area. And so I immediately, Erin's like, I'll see ya. She stayed like right where she was sitting. And I immediately made a beeline for the room that the thing went into.
Yep.
And I'm looking around, and I saw him at the time, like it was a flash. I saw him morph back into smoke and go into the floor, the vent on the floor. And when I did that, I caught this thing's attention.
Right.
And Erin was like, that wasn't smart. And I'm like, it wasn't smart. And I could feel that Sandalphon was really, really mad at me.
He was big mad.
Big mad at me.
Yeah.
And Gary had even said in his story that for whatever reasons, 6 months after that, he had an attachment. And he believed it was this gray man.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, crap.
You kind of got put in timeout, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Because after that, like we went to dinner. We were staying in the same hotel. And we were kind of hanging out with some other people. And then I went to go to bed, and Erin was up in her room. She was literally the room above us.
Right.
And not only did I get a stern talking to about that and put in timeout, but from Sandalphon, but he called in Archangel Michael as well, which scared me because it's Michael. I was like, oh God, oh no, oh God, like, oh God. They were, yeah. So I kind of had my abilities sort of not. I didn't get as many downloads. They were like, you have to put on protection. They had to put like a protection thing around me because I had caught this weird gray man's attention. And,
she did. She knew he was bad. She knew because Gary. See, here's the thing about Carrie. Carrie and I are more different than we are alike, and that's what works so great about the two of us and how we process and handle shit.
Yeah.
So Gary tells the story. And I already didn't like standing in there because it just didn't feel right.
It was disgustingly sticky energy. It wasn't good at all. Yeah,
and we had just gotten out of the West Attic, if I'm not mistaken. So you go from the West Attic through the chapel and then back down into this like T area. And Gary's telling the story, and I'm like, nope. I literally sat on the bench and didn't move.
She planted herself there. I was like, hurry and finish the story, Gary, because I got to go find this thing.
Right, and I had never done I'd never been in a prison. Like this is like the first big location I'd ever been into that was like, so I'm very much a rule follower. So Gary said, his story. I'm like, okay, I'll be right here. This dumb bitch, shit. I can't, the camera's backwards. This girl, that's when she's like, ooh, I'll see you later. And she's off. Like the scariest shit ever. She's running. But I remember she came back around the corner and her eyes were just huge. And I was like, what? And she's like, I think I fucked up.
Yeah. I immediately knew. Because I immediately knew when this gray man noticed me.
Right.
And it wasn't a good, like, oh, hey, she's cool. It was irritated. Like it was not good. And I got in big trouble. But they waited because, like I said, we went up, finished the tour, and then Erin and I went out to dinner and we were hanging out. And I was like, all right. And she went up to her room and I went into mine. And the second I got there, I sat down on the bed and they were like, we need to talk. And Michael was there. And I had always, when I meditate or if I want to like call in, protection and like I need serious protection, like when I was sending it to you guys, to like you and Cody and Satori, and I will call Michael in. Yeah. But it's never a situation where it's like I'm sitting there with two archangels that are very angry with me.
Right.
And they have to put protection around me because of this thing.
Right.
That I knew was like you said, and yes, thank you for trying to stand up for me, Mary Beth. Now don't do that because I will always know what I'm getting myself into.
She does.
I do appreciate it, but like Erin and Zach and Laura and Jen, they've all quit trying to stand up for me because they're like, you're just dumb.
Well, no, it's not even that. That's your way of learning and exploring, and like that's
my whole life
testing the waters a bit. That's just how you roll. I'm just not that brave, right? Like I'm the first one to admit I don't have a big set of cojones for this kind of stuff. I've had to sort of
well, and see the lesson that I learned from them with that as well is like they're not going to do that for me again.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that for me again. And they didn't have to say that. They didn't say that. I just know that they're, do it again or with any other thing or any, like you're on your own.
Right.
So Well, and I think that you guys went to the principal's office. I sure did.
She did.
I sure did.
Zach also said, facts. I'll send protection and tell her no, but she's going to do it. Same. But on the flip side of that, I mean, like Mary Beth says, I've never felt anything paranormal that scared me. I felt the same way. Anne scared me for a little bit, but she was big mad at me. She had it out for me for a while.
Yeah, it's never good when they're mad at you.
But the last 2 nights at the farm, whatever she was playing with, made sure that I knew that it was real and that it was there and that it very much wanted to scare me and did. So I can understand that now, but that's the only time it's ever happened. And at some point I'll get in. I mean, one of these, I need to like write all that stuff out, like, cause I can't.
Yeah. I was going to talk to them about how I even got involved with the farm because I've never been there. I literally have never set one foot in Rhode Island, never been to the farmhouse. Never. Like I've been on FaceTime with Erin while she's walking the property, but I've never set one toe on that property. But I can remote view. And one night, one of the spirits, I was watching a live investigation at the farm on like YouTube or Facebook or something. And one of the spirits noticed me and came to me because it needed help.
He was mad.
He was so mad. And it panicked me because I didn't know who this was. And he was screaming in my head. There was a guest that was not treating the house properly. Like it was not really a joke, but he kept saying it's not a science experiment. This is a home. And the guy was just kind of being like one of those asshole investigators, you know?
Yeah.
And I tried calling Erin. She didn't answer. I ended up calling Andrea, who was just getting ready to go to bed. I'm like, Andrea, I have a big brother. She's like, call Erin. Just keep calling Erin. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I think we'll have to, I'll talk to our crew, but maybe it's time to just do an episode on that whole story. The whole thing.
Why not?
Of your mix with it, and Noah and Ann, and how that all came to be, and like how.
Yeah.
It's probably time to tell that story because we've sat on it for a really long time and it's an important story. It's pivotally important for me.
Yes.
My connection to that house, but it also shows the power of the kind of abilities that you have because Noah went to you.
Yeah.
Not to any of us.
And we didn't even know it was Noah for a long time.
No, we didn't. Took us a year.
We just called him our friend at the farm.
Took us a year because he lied about it for a long time.
A long time, yeah. He didn't want us
but it's probably time because I think what's an interesting conversation about that too is it is a testament to how close people are energetically connected and what spirits will do to get the information to somebody.
Yeah.
To the person.
Yeah. And I don't know how many people were watching that because it was a live
lot.
Like that. It was
Halloween weekend.
TCH was doing the live. It wasn't like it was this guy's YouTube channel.
No, what it was, we were up there for
Conjuring House anniversary.
It was Halloween.
Yeah.
And
it was like Andrea was up there. Yeah.
Yeah. We were showing the movie in the house. Because I don't think it was that first trip. I think it was the trip after. I'm pretty sure.
Might have been,
because
it was the 10th anniversary of The Conjuring.
So it was that summer trip then. Okay, so that was July of that summer, and Andrea was. That's right, because I was doing both jobs. I was working at the house, but I was also handling Andrea that weekend.
Right.
So it all ran together. But it set the stage for some really interesting shit that happened up until I quit.
Sure did. Stuff that we didn't see coming at all. Like I was just like, this guy's just being a jerk, and he wants somebody to kick him out. But no. You're right. It really set the stage for something.
Yes, I feel like it was Halloween. That's what I was thinking too. I think it was.
I think it was Halloween.
I think it was Halloween, and
Andrea was there.
Andrea was there, and I had because she went back to the hotel, and I was staying at the hotel, so it wasn't the summer trip. Had to have been October.
It had to have been October because it also wasn't Ocean State Paracon. It wasn't that weekend either.
It was the year before.
It was
Ocean State. But I think it that whole thing shows the power of the energetic connection between like you and I or anyone who's tight, like a particular location, the concern in the tie that a spirit has to a particular location, and they will go to the strongest, easiest person to get their attention, to get the information. Because we went from having this freak out, Carrie was freaking out, and rightfully so.
Erin was freaking out because I guess I channeled him and I didn't realize it.
Well, yeah, and then it went from her talking to me about it, then now he's yelling at me about it. But the upside was he knew that I knew who this person was.
Immediately she knew. She was like, I know who that is. And I was like, okay, great.
And then I was able to confirm it with Satori the next night. But it is an interesting discussion. And even though like this is mostly spirit guide and angels who kind of morphed into dogs and everything else. But I think it's an interesting discussion around still taking care of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Spiritually. But boy, did that man wreak havoc on my life for about a year and a half. And
he sure did. He sure did. And what was funny was I don't think he would have ever, if that guy hadn't been there and been acting like an ass in the investigation, I don't think any of this, I don't think it would have
played out.
Maybe it would have happened, but it wouldn't have happened this way, certainly. But I don't necessarily know as Noah would have ever come forward.
No, it might have just been Anne, and I wouldn't have known.
Right?
It could have been worse. So I think
it could have been worse.
It could have been worse. She was really not nice to me for quite a while.
She did not like you. But what was crazy was when she appeared in my house.
And how they would be in both our houses at the same time.
At the same time. And I would look at her and just be kind of staring at her, not out of fear, but you do look like her.
Mm-hmm. That's the rumor.
Shockingly like her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should
yeah.
We'll offline discuss if we want to kind of have a whole episode of that, because it does need to that's been on my brain anyway.
Yeah, talk to Cody and Satori and just kind of see. We could certainly but is that all stemmed from, like I said, my angel helped out my friend.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to get to know your guides, you want to know who they are, you can certainly, like I said, you can ask them. If you have more questions, you can get an Akashic Records reading. I think we're going to cover the Akashic Records in, I don't know, maybe the next few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of a deep dive.
It is a deep dive.
And how does it get the energy for it? That is a fantastic question.
My theory, and this is only theory, and Ken can always pop in if he is in the background. I think time is only a linear construct for humans and this planet. And I think you're also dealing with spirits and all these other things like Reiki energy as quantum.
Yeah.
Yep. Space-time continuum stuff. Here we go. So if you're talking about quantum physics and quantum mechanics and the quantum end of this, deja vu is often considered. Are we, because we live in a quantum realm,
right?
Every possibility of every choice we've ever made exists in that quantum realm.
Yes.
The choices we made, the choices we didn't make, the options we had, the ones we didn't take, the ones we wish we take, all of that lives in the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So they could, if you're basing off quantum mechanics, be in two places at once, because
yes,
energy. And they can be in my house in Florida and then back in Rhode Island. And I remember one night we were there, I was walking you around the property and they were popping in and out all over the house, like here, there, in a second. They weren't walking up the stairs. They were just appearing in places very quickly. So I don't think time matters. Oh yeah. Ron is very good at explaining this stuff.
Ron is the best.
Very good at explaining this stuff.
Very good at explaining it. And by the way, guys, if you have the opportunity, I'm going to be at Gettysburg. It's the weekend of July 25th, 26th, something like that. Cody and Satori are going to be there. Ron and Lourdes are going to be there. Like, we would love, Erin's going to try and come. We would love to see all of you, to meet you guys, come hang out with us. I'm going to be there for this little light of mine. But if you can come to Gettysburg, please, I hope you try to, because it is a good time. We have so much fun. So many cool people are going to be there this year.
That is what
and seeing Ron and Lourdes do the digital seance initiative.
Wow.
There's nothing like it. I will never get over it. I will go every time.
That is what I've heard. I don't think we have questions. So maybe what have you got? So let's plug some stuff. Tell me what you've got going on in the shop right now.
In the shop right now, we are, what do I have going on? I have a lot going on in the shop right now. We are going to start doing vendor shows every weekend, but we also have, I don't have it with me. Just released our Brilliance face and body scrub. It's got turmeric oil and kojic acid in it. So you can use it on dark elbows or knees or your underarms. It also brightens and evens the skin tone of your face. So that's a new release we're super excited about. And then with Let It Shine with the Wellness Center, we just had a meeting last night. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming for that. Our live that we were going to do is now rescheduled for the 18th of April. So you guys will probably start seeing promotions for that.
Good.
But with the Wellness Center, it's a spiritual wellness center. And I really want to stress that, like, you can get Reiki there, you can get psychic readings, you can get your chakras cleared, you can have an Akashic Records reading, and you can also get like soul session therapy. I don't ever think that therapy is like a cookie cutter thing. I think there's different types of therapy, and that's certainly something that we have worked hard to develop for folks. Yeah. So we've got clients that have started to come in. We're really excited about that. So we're going to do our live. So that's coming. And then what else do I have? I think that's it.
I see. Stuff is amazing. I was using the lip scrub today because my lips were super chapped. You ever have those mornings when you wake up and your mouth's so dry you feel like you just drank a glass of sand? That was me this morning.
Yes. I've been having that quite a bit.
Yeah. I think,
yes, we've got a bunch of it. I'm gonna start. Yeah. And we've got everything. We've even got a line that's for sensitive skin. No color, no fragrance. It's called Bare Your Soul.
Yep.
Yes, Bandit spray works. Yeah, she reached out to me and wanted to know if magnesium spray would be good for pets. So I did a little research and I was like, actually, yeah, run it by your vet. And then so I made her a special spray for her cat.
That you did.
I really love that it's all infused with Reiki and crystal energy. I think that that really gives it something extra.
Yeah.
Like the love and the intention behind everything being made. And then when Erin infuses everything with Reiki, it's been so, we have gotten so many amazing reviews about the quality of the products, which is overjoying to me.
Yeah.
But then also the energy in them people are leaving reviews about that too. So awesome. It's something that Erin and I have worked on together. I use Bare Your Soul. It's amazing. Yes. And Lori, your order is going out tomorrow.
Nice. I'm gonna be doing.
What do you got going on?
I think I'm gonna start booking sessions again.
Great.
So we're finally feeling enough distance between all the chaos to start doing that again. So that
good. I think it helps you too. I think it helps you too.
Yeah, it is. I've been too disconnected for too long.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Last Bite yet,
guys,
did you watch the first episode?
Yes.
Good. So much nostalgia. I think people, like Ken and I were talking about it. I think people from the nostalgia standpoint of like being in the kitchen with family and like there was just a lot of like love and fun, and then also the recipe. I want those cookies, so I think Satori's gonna have to make them when she comes to Maine.
It's so genius. I absolutely love the concept. It's great. So good.
Do you want me? Do you want me to throw the trailer up one more time? You think?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, we've got some folks. I need to watch it.
All right. Well, let me throw this. Is it still up here?
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, there it is. All right, hang on. Here's the trailer for Last Bite.
Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of Last Bite, a show where we honor the dearly departed and their culinary legacy. I'm Ken DeCosta, your host, and joining me today we have a very special guest. Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
What is your experience around the kitchen?
None.
Okay, well, this is going to be perfect then. Do you take science classes at all?
One time I did take a science class and I overheated a glass beaker and it shattered in my hand.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
You guys.
I love it. It's so cute. It's so good. So we'll toss that up. And then the only other thing I could think of, Cody and Satori's book is out. They sent me mine. Oh, God, the camera.
I know the glossy cover.
I don't even have a light on in here.
Even the cover is like everything about
awesome.
it is,
and
is amazing. I'm waiting till Gettysburg.
Like color pictures, and it's case files. I think there's 21 case files in here. I got to read it a little bit before to kind of help them do a final edit on it before they sent it off. But the stories are really amazing. Lots to learn in here. You can get it on Amazon, I think Barnes and Noble, and then if you want the autograph copy, if you're ordering it, you need to order it from Satori's website, which is handmadebyhaws.com. And then they're going to
go to Gettysburg and get it there. Like
they will have them at every event. They're signing them.
I just like rubbing elbows with celebrities.
So there's that. What else have we got? Did we cover
What else have
everything?
we got? That's all I can think of. I know that like we had done a lot of like in-depth kind of shadow worky stuff that we were talking about in several episodes, and like manifestation and what that actually looks like in real life once things that no longer serve what's coming for you get moved out. I know we talked a lot about a lot of heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to bring a little bit more lighthearted topics to it, but we are going to get back into some deep stuff, guys. Because the show, that's kind of what the show is. Like this, all of this is a hot mess. It's difficult to navigate. Sometimes it's scary to navigate. Sometimes it depresses the hell out of you.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have a couple of serious topics coming up in the next few weeks. Like I said, we're gonna do a dive into Akashic Records. That one I actually have to do right out and like get like an outline, because there's so much to them, and I don't want to overwhelm. I don't want it to be like a 9-hour show. So, ooh, yay! Also, you know what? The people that actually put recipes on their headstones are brilliant. Like, what?
Right?
What? So good.
There's a cocoa. I was like, what? I almost like, how can I get to? Okay, it's gonna take me 5 hours to get to Bristol. Is it? Yeah. Ken, I'm going to be crashing your pad soon. Bean and I are going to have to come down and visit.
Worth it. So yeah, if you guys also have any ideas that you like, topics that you are interested in and you'd like to, have us chat about with you, if we know anything about it, hey, even if we don't, send us a message. Done it before. Yeah, send us the message. Pop it in the page. That's all I've got. Really.
That's all I've got too.
That's all I got. I gotta go make more body butter sticks.
Yeah.
All I do is just like still roll around on my scooter that I call my hog, because I just can't stand for that long on my foot. I don't want to re-injure it.
No.
But I've got so much skincare stuff to do.
All of the skincare stuff. So on that note, thank you all for joining us again. We'll see you.
Yes. Wait, we have to do our sweary affirmation. Oh, yeah, do you have a card you want to read?
Yep. Do it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We're going to shuffle the sweary affirmations and we're going to pick this one. I love this one. Not loving myself is total bullshit.
I love it.
That's yep. That's a good one, guys. Not loving myself is total bullshit. So stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. We don't do that anymore from this moment forward. This is our mantra.
I like it.
Okay. I'm going to take a picture of it and post it on the page. That's a good one. All right. Did you have a card you wanted to pick?
No, I forgot my box.
No. Okay.
No, I'll pull one though, and I'll put it up on I'll do that tonight as well.
Okay, cool. Zach and I were talking about how like hard hitting those cards have been. Like they've really been on point with a lot of things going on in all of our lives. I think it's it's so fun to get together with you guys. We love you so much. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. Whoa, hang on. When is the next show?
I don't know the date. All I know is 2 weeks.
The 10th. Okay, the 10th.
So we got time.
Okay. Also, taxes are due soon. Hope you got them done. And then, wait, somebody had a comment I wanted to reply to.
Oh, was it the spring equinox?
Yes.
So I'll have to message you off probably again on that because I haven't even looked into that yet. But I know there are a lot of rituals. You can even Google rituals on the spring equinox.
Yeah.
But I'll see if there's other things that people that we know that do anything around that and get back to you.
Yay.
All right, guys.
This was so much fun. Thank you so much for letting us ramble on and tell you some of our little secrets that, we keep in here. Love you. See you in a couple weeks. Don't forget Cody and Satori show next week.
Yes.
Right? They're back. Okay.
Yep.
Cody and Satori show next week. Bye.
Bye.